As I'm sure you're aware, the cannabis drinks market is the fastest growing market segment in the entire cannabis market. Drinks in particular are really important to consumers because it's something that's very natural for them to bring into their everyday lives, especially when it's lifestyle integrated. So what we wanted to do is create beverages that fit in with these consumer lifestyles. And specific to that, you look at beers and sparkling waters and coffees and teas. These are beverages that consumers drink almost daily, and we built an entire portfolio of product offerings that fit in with these consumer preferences that aren't quite in the cannabis space just yet.
I'm Catherine. I'm the Director of Marketing for Collective Project and Collective Arts Brewing. Collective Project is a wholly owned subsidiary of Collective Arts Brewing. We're based out of Canada, distributed in the US as well, and we've just entered this new world of CBD and THC infused beverages. So from our perspective, we're really excited about kind of blurring the line between a social experience that is drinking to one that is now cannabis involved. And I think we're looking to really build a portfolio of beverages that is low enough dose that you're having one or two or three, just as you would have a beer or a cider or a wine, but you're able to sit next to your friend having that and have a very similar experience, but maybe the cannabis experience is one that you prefer. So we're really looking to, the product that we have here today and our portfolio in general is just focused on really, just like we do in the beer world, is finding the absolute best ingredients that we can. So if we're doing sparkling juices, it's cold pressed juices, and we know where everything is coming from, and trying to create a beverage that is delicious first and then has an effect second. Just like with the craft beer world, you're not just drinking a craft beer to get a bit drunk. You're drinking a craft beer in essence to have an experience that is flavor first and experience second.
We're looking to connect with other beverage companies. We're at a very important transition time in the cannabis beverage space. So we want to ensure that we're building together, because mass moves, and the more that we can do as a collective group, the further along we're going to get in that specific market segment. In addition to that, we're looking to connect with buyers, other influencers.
It's a really interesting time. I don't think there'll be another occasion in my career where I'll see the birth of an industry. And with the birth of an industry is laws that you're very uncertain of, and I think it's putting everybody into a box. But sometimes when you're put into a box, you can be creative within that box in ways that you didn't really think about. So Canada and the US, California versus the rest of the United States are all very different in what you can and can't do. So right now as a marketer, it's not the sexiest part of my job, but it's figuring out what I'm allowed to do and what is legal and what you're able to put on packaging. But from our perspective, what we do really well as a brand is experience and taking these into the real world and creating something where people kind of know what to expect, and there's a trust that we want to build around our products. Because I think the biggest challenge with cannabis is there's a lot of people who got high that one time in high school and freaked out and haven't had a joint or haven't smoked or haven't had an edible since. And very understandably, where we see ourselves living is in a space where, just like you don't really think about having a beer or having a glass of wine because you kind of know how you react to it, and you know that 3 beers is your limit. We want to create a product that really is that grows on one another, and that is a predictable experience, and really something that people, when they're picking it up, they're not like, okay, what's going to happen now? So marketing, just to get people to really try it for the first time if they maybe have exited the cannabis world for a little while, is really our biggest marketing challenge, and something that I think we're focused on figuring out now.
Yeah, for sure. So we coined the term Cannabis Curious, and essentially the concept behind Cannabis Curious is that consumers are still figuring out whether or not they want to be cannabis consumers, right? So if you give them a product that they're familiar with, it's going to allow that transition to be a lot easier for them to go from, a traditional beer to maybe a CBD-based product to a THC-infused product. And we create products in all those categories. So we're essentially in every channel of business that consumers can engage with, from traditional products to CBD products to THC dominant products. So when they get familiar with our traditional products and migrate through that path of transition, they go from being cannabis curious to now cannabis consumers. And we want to make that transition as easy as possible for the cannabis curious to bring them to cannabis less curious, if you will.